the May 1st, 2025 Clarksburg City Council meeting.
Councilmember Deems.
Here.
Councilmember Howe.
Present.
Councilmember Hyman.
Present.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
Vice Mayor Riffle.
Here.
And Mayor Mallon.
Here.
Prayer of pledge this evening is by Councilmember Ward.
You can bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this great weather. We thank you for all these great people in the chambers tonight and all these great leaders that are standing beside me. Your gift of life and your love is amazing. And although we're going to do what we're going to do up here and make our own decisions, just know, Lord, that every single person up here is capable, even if we do disagree sometimes. But what's most important is what we do outside of here. And through your grace, maybe, we could love one another a little bit more, be nice to one another a little more, and emulate and follow and be that example and be that reflection of your Son, Christ's love in the world. In God we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes of the special session of April 15th.
So move.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Approval of the minutes of the regular session of April 17th.
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Petitions, communications, and public hearings. Kurt with Ward 4, which is to address council.
Good evening. Just want to remind everybody, tomorrow at Gore 4 from 12 to 6, we are hosting the breast cancer awareness event from 12 to 6. And for Gore 4, we are donating all proceeds of a long drive contest, closest to the pin contest and putting contest, going to breast cancer awareness. And Melissa Rowan, who's running the event, she has Chick-fil-A there, West Virginia Fruit and Berry, and there's a couple other vendors that will be in attendance as well. We look forward to all your support. I know I haven't seen a few faces in Core 4 yet, so it's right over here,
What time is that, Kurt?
12 to 6.
12 to 6.
Yeah. And we do have gifts and prizes from different local golf courses that have donated. So we look forward to seeing y'all.
Thank you.
And Vice Mayor Riffle wishes to address council.
It's a positive thing. Everybody relax. So, as many of you have seen, the Clarksburg History Museum, they're losing their funding. AmeriCorps lost funding, so they're losing their employee, which keeps them open. So, one thing that I want to do, and it's a personal thing, nothing to do with the city, that's why I wanted to come out here. So, these flags right here, if you don't know what these flags are, then, we got to talk. But this is the Clarksburg City flag. And I have one at my house. We fly it all throughout the city. I'm going to sell Clarksburg flags and put all proceeds to go to the History Museum. And one great thing about this is to raise money, but the other thing is to see our flag flying throughout our city. I think Councilman Howe's house will look great with this blue, because your house is blue, right? Well, right outside. East Main Street's a great place for flags to fly if you want to be proud of your city. Everybody will see it. You might not agree, but maybe put it in the backyard at least. But so I encourage everybody to buy one. And
you have or pay for it.
Okay. I'll stay out of that. But I fly one at my house, and I think we need more city pride. And the way to do that is to fly our flag with pride and to raise money to give back to History Museum. We got to figure out a way to help them with funding. Little things like this will only get them probably through this year, but we have to look towards the future as well to protect our past. So I encourage everybody to buy these. I'm going to order them probably tomorrow. And as soon as they come in, I'll try to take pre-orders and so yeah, look forward to everybody buying one.
Did you say how much?
I have, so probably around $40, I think, because that's about, because we ordered these,
2 years.
2 years
almost
ago.
2 years ago now.
it was, for 23 of them, it was $430 or so. I assume it went up. I hope it's not from China, because then we'll have to find another place, because that's be really expensive. So I'd say around $40, $50, so.
City manager says that the city will help in any way we can.
Thank you. That go with my time?
City manager's report and update. So with summer coming up, the weather's nice. Departments have been out and about and doing lots of work. All the parks are getting set up and moving. The concert series through the amphitheater has been released. There's lots of exciting performers coming to the amp, and they're listed on your sheet. The West Virginia Collectible Show will be held in the Clarksburg City Park with 32 vendors. And there are a couple of employees that are going to become certified in pool operators to help support the pool's operations. Code enforcement and project department have been very busy meeting. We have a lot of initiatives going on in the city in regards to road work, so there's been lots of meetings happening with the Department of Highways and the state. We've done prep for our UA and our LRA meetings. We also have another tax sale coming up through the state, so we're identifying properties to buy through the LRA. There's been a number of building permits given, almost 80 now. There's been quite a bit of animal control calls, and there's been a number of inspections and vehicles tagged. This week I went out with our director of code and one of our code officers and actually drove around with them and identified areas that we need to work to continue to clean up to beautify our city. I'm going to be doing that once a week for the next 4 weeks, going out with every code officer once and our director to go over some of the things that we're looking for to make sure we're doing our part to make sure the city's kept presentable and nice to look at. The finance department, so B&O collections are just over 39,000, hotel taxes is just over 16,000, and they are very, very busy collecting fees and helping with permits. The quarter 1 2025 sales and use tax received from the state was just over $1.2 million. The fire department has responded to a total of 228 service calls for the month. Fire Marshal Brian Hall and Mechanic Frank Barberio were sworn into their positions on April 24th, and shifts have started to utilize more outdoor training because the weather has changed. There's a lot that's going on in grants, economic and community development. So you have myself, Dr. Nicholson, Steve Police, and Tommy Bailey all working very hard to move this city forward with different social programs, education programs, business and community development. The two CBS grants were also submitted that council approved at a previous council meeting. There's one grant that's awaiting a notice to proceed, so it's in an office stuck in Pittsburgh. We're following up on that. Hopefully that will be released soon. There has been some more cancellations of grants, as you heard tonight. So we've been getting some calls about that and trying to see if we can help assist entities find other avenues for grants as well. Public Works has responded to a number of NOVs. They've received and processed just over 77,000 wood waste and ran the tub grinder on 4 separate occasions. The compost hours are changing, so notices are going to be handed out to people who are coming in to utilize the compost facility. So you may get calls about that. They've replaced LED light bulbs and answered 16 after-hour pages and took over 1,600 phone calls in at their department. The Robinson Grant is busy with the full lineup for May. You can find those on their website at therobinsongrant.com. As council knows, there was a little bit of reorganization with sewer and sanitary and public works. So they're getting used to their new lines of reporting, but they are moving along and working with the Department of Highways and other entities as well, with Thrasher getting these projects completed, as well as their regular work that they have to do, including cleanups, replacing catch basins, installing new drains, and so forth. And a reminder to the public to Please not flush baby wipes or flushable wipes down the drains. They do not dissolve and can cause blockages in the sewer line as well as damage to the pumps.
You know, I have an idea. I think we did this in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, Martin. Why don't we put a notice in the water bill to everybody about the compost?
Oh.
Did we do that in the past?
Fire fee bill.
Fire, yeah,
Fire fee?
yeah. I mean, that way that people know that compost is all good
Okay. I will do that.
and up and running.
The only problem with doing it in the fire fee is if, like, I paid mine at the beginning of the year, so I don't get another notice until.
We'll do both.
But I guess I know because I'm here. So
We're not going to go on vacation tonight?
we'll see. Night's young.
Unfinished business, consideration of second final reading and public hearing of an ordinance of the city of Clarksburg modifying section 507.17 of codified ordinances regarding the prohibition and the keeping of noisy dogs. Notices regarding the public hearing appeared in the Exponent Telegram on April 23 and April 30th.
We will now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. We will now close the public hearing.
Mayor, I move for modifying section 507.17 of the codified ordinances regarding the prohibition of the keeping of dogs, noisy dogs.
We have a motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hunt.
I'm just going to add here briefly, I voted no first time around, and, I've received several letters, one of which from one of my constituents here in the gallery tonight, another one from a local disabled woman, and, those are the two written letters I got, but I got several messages. I got several comments on Facebook and several direct, messages to me, asking me why and, what we were doing this for. And, obviously, I have my concerns with it. And, I hope everybody found those letters in their mailbox that I put in there and reached out to their constituents about ramifications of this ordinance. And, I just, again, I'll be voting no for it, no on it rather, and encourage everyone to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I had a couple questions and I'll make a couple comments. So our first question is, do we already have like a nuisance ordinance on the books that covers, like, say if there's a dog that continues to bark and it's during hours where people are trying to sleep for the most part? Is that
That would
covered?
cover this, not to my knowledge.
Is that something?
Richard, we don't have anything that has times in it.
Not that it's times in it, but you already have a barking dog ordinance.
Right.
We do.
Yeah, you already have a barking dog.
This is what this is.
Okay.
You passed that in 2020, summer of 23, which is, so that's why we're modifying what we have now, to be more specific.
So we're modifying just for a time frame of how long a dog's barking,
That's
Yes.
correct. To make it less,
and it increases the fines as well.
it does increase the fines. You can only move to amend to keep it the same fines as before.
Just for clarification, now, if this is a service dog that someone has that's barking, then will that person be fined?
I believe they would be. I mean, it's still the same situation.
And one more point of clarification. Never mind, hang on, let me clarify that question.
But Councilman Jackson, I mean, my belief would be, and I hope the police departments or codes as well, I mean, if it's a service dog, most likely, you're not going to let a service dog out all night, because I would assume you need the service dog in the house to assist you. So I don't think this really targets a service dog that you're letting out to go to the restroom or anything such as that. So, I mean, I don't think that, I don't think they're totally excluded in case that does happen, but at the same time, I think, if you have a service dog, A, you're probably responsible taking care of the service dog. A, and B, you need the service dog to assist you. So you're not letting it just run, or you're not tying it up, just letting it go out for all hours of the night, which I think this ordinance is specifically trying to attack.
That is correct.
If I may, the proposed barking dog ordinance is an important step to help maintain peace and quality of life in our neighborhoods. This ordinance provides clear parameters for addressing excessive and disruptive dog noise, while respecting the rights of the pet owners. Our goal is to create a balanced approach that promotes responsible pet ownership and a harmonious living environment for all residents. And if there's a service dog that's barking continuously, I think somebody ought to look into it, because it may be trying to warn somebody that the person is in need of help. Would be my, guess if a service dog was barking excessively.
And I agree with that, Mayor. I mean, especially with a service dog, I mean, say if you have a service dog that is, say the service is provided and, like someone's blood sugar goes through the roof and they pass out, you want to have a dog that's barking all the time. Make sure that there's response. And just when I look at this, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the whole fining, the fine structure. I mean, I'll probably make an amendment, at least for the first offense, being a warning. But my thing is, there's people get dogs, a lot of people get dogs, especially in town, as watchdogs. So, I mean, and watchdogs are, they'll bark if something comes in their yard that probably shouldn't be in their yard. Now, sometimes a deer may come in your yard, or a raccoon, or possum, whatever. And I get it. There has to be, a certain responsibility on the pet owner to ensure that if this dog's just barking just to bark, or is barking at a possum outside, that, they respond to it in a timely fashion. The other reason why I think a dog would bark is because it's being neglected or abused in some sort of sense. There's parts of, I mean, I like the ordinance in the framework that it at least allows code enforcement, or the animal control officer to respond to a dog that's continuously barking. But I think that response should be to see if that dog is okay. Because if you just leave a dog out there in a kennel and it's hungry, of course the thing's going to bark. It is going to continue to bark. So with that said, because I love my two little dogs too, and yeah, they're yappy sometimes, and we have to go outside and tell them to shut up, and then bring them in or see what they're barking at. But I think too that if there's a dog that's continuously barking, I think the method should be is trying to see what's wrong with that dog. You see what I'm saying? Like making sure it's not neglected. So I mean, I'm going to make an amendment to this. I'm going to make a motion that we amend at least the very first, I guess the subsection E, dash A, that on the first offense, that it is a warning. And that would be my amendment to this.
Second.
Anybody else speak?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Anybody else have any comments on A?
This is an issue. If anybody's lived next to this, I get that. I'm sure they fully support it. I do worry about the unintended consequences. People that are worried about, falling in under this and then getting fined and it's not, and they're not the ones that actually are causing the issues. I don't even know how to explain it, but we've heard from a few people that worry about certain things like that. It's not perfect, I don't know, I've tried to think of other ways to change this or fix this or alter this to where it would be more fair. I couldn't think of anything. So, I mean, that's just.
And to that, Vice Mayor, I was looking at the city manager's report, which I've currently misplaced in my stack here, but I did not see any barking dog complaints in the city manager's report. I mean, I don't think the issue is that there's a 15-minute time limit that we just have to enforce it. I honestly think it's the enforcement issue on it, where people either are reluctant to call law enforcement or code enforcement on their neighbor over a barking dog, or they just don't. You know, I think if it was an issue, I think we would see that reflected in our city manager's report. And, you know, I'm not saying it's non-existent. Obviously, I've heard the stories, you know, I've saw the comments on social media. I'm just curious exactly what this ordinance will do that the original one doesn't. And that's what I don't, you know, that's why I'm going to vote no on it. I'd see,
I think that,
you know.
but I think as a society as a whole, and not just here, but we've adopted this mindset of they're not going to do anything anyways. You see it on Facebook all the time. People say they're not going to do anything. And as the mayor always says, see something, say that, but we haven't, as a city or as individuals, like adopt that fully as we should. Because I'll know that I'll get complaints about a certain house, and I'll talk to Chief Kitty about it, and he said we have no calls from it because people are still either don't believe it's going to happen or think it's going to, or don't understand the law, and so they're frustrated because nothing was done for whatever reason it was. So I think there's a little bit of that because the people I've talked to, they told me, they showed me examples of people, you know, having dogs right next door. Like if you have a newborn baby, if you get that baby laid down and it was impossible to get to sleep, and you finally get it down and the dog barks, you want to go out there and take care of the dog yourself. Like that's how like frustrated people get. And honestly, I mean, if everybody's trying to get his baby to sleep, you get it. And that will also spill over to like marital problems, people arguing, losing sleep, financial decision-making, jobs. It really, especially if you have anger issues, I don't. I'm not saying that. I'm great at getting babies to sleep, but sometimes that will happen. So that it is an issue. But never once when that happened did I ever think about calling somebody.
But even this revision would still require people to call the police.
Well, I think it might be more confident that what they provide and show as evidence will be effective. Because that's, you can't, there's no, it's a 15-minute video, you have that, you show that, and if we didn't do anything, that's on us.
The ordinance doesn't specifically say you have to have the video, correct?
No.
That's not, I mean, we talked about that as a possibility, right? But that's not in the ordinance. The only thing that we have added is the time limits, and I was in favor of the time limits. I thought it was a good idea, and then I got an earful from people, and I understand. And you know, I'm with Councilman Hyman. I'm going to vote no on this.
But in most laws, it doesn't say that you have to have video evidence of a grand larceny. If you have video evidence, it's more likely to be prosecuted.
And you could still do that without this revision.
No, I think the issue, oh, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I saw your hand up there. Go ahead.
We just got a text message from Mr. Lane. It says, part of the animal control job is to investigate the calls. An investigation will tell if the animals are mistreated. We won't just issue citations without our own investigation. I won't even let them use another person's video as evidence. We will do our own investigation and hear for ourselves.
We talk a lot about, you know, we don't want the police doing this. The police aren't social workers. The police aren't, you know, and here we're asking, you know, possibly the police that maybe after hours, after code hours or whatever to, you know, to be the jury or judge jury, you know, to see, you know, well, I wouldn't go that far. I didn't say it. You said it. I didn't say it. You said it. But, we're asking them, if somebody says, well, I got it on video, and they get there and the dog's not barking, the dog's laying there in the bed or something like that, I think Jerry mentioned unintended consequences. Obviously we've discussed several ordinances like this. I'm not going to rehash those out in this discussion because I just, it seems like one of these things where, we're striving to turn Clarksburg into some type of HOA type of thing, and I get it, to a certain extent. Everybody wants Clarksburg to be better. I don't know if this is going to get us there, and I'm afraid that something bad might happen in response to it. And I hope it doesn't. But again, that's one of the reasons I'll be voting no for. I just I don't want anybody to get hurt. And unintended consequences. I guess that's where I'll leave it at.
Thank you.
Well, I'll keep on destroying this ordinance here by making another amendment. You guys can vote it up or down, but in subsection C of the ordinance, it states any person complaining of a violation of this ordinance may contact animal control, code enforcement, or the police department, who may then investigate the complaint and report. I make a motion that we change that. That's where we add to that if law enforcement is called after hours, or anytime law enforcement is called to investigate the complaint or report, that complaint and report get referred to the animal control officer and the code enforcement department for them to conduct the investigation. The reason why I think that's important part in there is because this is, the animal control officer is the person, in charge of investigating to see whether or not, it's just a noisy dog barking, or whether or not it's a dog that's being neglected. If we're using police resources to conduct that investigation, then we're taking them away from other, conducting other investigations of, say, a drug deal down the street, or a breaking and entering, whatever it may be. So I make a motion that we add that part as an amendment to this, just to ensure that any call to law enforcement for this barking dog ordinance, because it's just strictly for barking dogs, that the police refer that to the animal control officer and to code enforcement. It either if it's daytime hours, they immediately refer it to that, or if it's after hours, the next business day. That's my motion.
We have a motion.
Quick question, just for clarification, then if that were to happen, if the mayor happened to call because there's a complaint and dogs barking hours upon hours outside his house, does that mean the police do not have to go to knock on the door to say, you need to do something to your dog, or at least investigate? Because what I'm thinking is, the officers are out patrolling the streets, the neighborhoods where they should be in the evenings. So if they stumble upon that and hear it, do we not care and move on? I don't mind to say, something like that, but I don't want to prohibit them as well, because there's many instances where they should
That's a good point. And that's a good point. I would say, yeah, let the officer investigate it, but a referral the next morning needs to go to code enforcement. So yeah, I believe it could be investigated, but I think at the end of the day, it should be code enforcement and the animal control officer to get down to the bottom of what's going on. Now, the officer could go out there and say, hey, your dog's been barking. We got complaints your dog's barking all night. Can you at least do something about it? But I think at the end of the day, that to investigate to see what's going on, why that dog's barking, whether it's just the dog's neglected and is hungry, or the dog owner just doesn't give a damn and they just let the dog bark. I think that I think that the following day or the same day, if it's during daylight hours or business hours, that should be exclusively, I guess, a further investigation by animal control.
And Councilmember Wood, if I could just say, I agree, the police are not going to do that. They may show up and knock on the doors, Councilmember Howell, but if you're gonna try to address every single situation in ordinance, it's gonna make it very difficult to follow. I think we have the police chief listening to what the intent of council is, and they'll execute that without making amendments that's gonna make it so hard to follow and restrictive. It's probably not gonna be effective.
And, you know, and I agree with that to an extent, but here's the thing, you know, at night, we're just expending law enforcement resources on more, you know, on a problem that could be something that's just knocking on the door and say, hey, can you do something about your dog? And then have a further investigation in the morning about code enforcement. I don't think that's not really asking too much.
No, but I think though, I mean, I guess to my point, what I was making is, I mean, if a dog's excessively barking, maybe to somebody else's point, maybe somebody is trying to break into a neighbor's house, so the police officer should go out and at least take a look of what's going on, just to make sure, you know. Then if he finds the dog just sitting there barking because he's tied up and the people are out, I mean, that's only my concern. The dog is alerting you of something. But if it's going to go on for an hour and we're just going to say, well, we'll get to it in the morning, and then the next day we find out that the house next to him was robbed, and the dog was alerting us, shame on us.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But also, I think these situations, like my example earlier, they lead to domestic situations. I mean, you're like, you know, if you get frustrated enough, you go knock on the neighbor's door. Next thing you know, cops are going to be called anyways. It's not because of the dogs, it's because of a fist fight out front.
Or you'll be charged for indecent exposure.
Well, maybe I should.
Depending on it.
So maybe I should tailor my motion just to say, okay, the law enforcement could go out there and they can investigate the complaint, because I get what you're saying, Councilman Howell, and Vice Mayor Whitfly gets that too. But if law enforcement does investigate it, that it also gets referred the next morning, you know, or it also gets referred to animal control to investigate. So, I mean, I just want to make sure that, you know, if law enforcement's out there at 2 a.m. and if their investigation is for 2 hours, you know, because there's breaking and entering and the dog's barking, I just want to make sure that in the morning that at least the animal control office, you know, is also going out to follow up with that. So it's not just a police investigation,
And just to-
but it's also.
Just to clarify, section C of this was not amended at all. That's the original language of the ordinance. I'm assuming there was, because the only thing that was touched was the fines and the.
Oh, okay.
I mean, and
So maybe it's a moot point.
Well,
Let
no,
us
I
spend
understand
10 minutes to blow hot air, but
well, I'm just saying. I mean, it's
maybe we'll have to ask our parliamentarian, our city attorney, is that something that we can amend, or is this, that's just?
No, you can amend the statute, it doesn't significantly change it. I'm not sure what the point of your amendment is, Councilman. I think what you're trying to do is limit police ability that evening. I mean, if they go out, the dog's barking, and people won't, it almost seems to me like you're trying to take away their ability to do a citation that evening, if it's appropriate, or whatever else happens. I think and keep in mind, we've had this for a year. My understanding is we've had 40 barking dog complaints for the past year. I think Chief Kitty had something to add on that issue and what his thoughts were. That's not what you want to talk.
He's making a lot of motions over there, so he has we value it.
He's got a gun too.
I honestly don't know where this is all coming from, but yeah, last year I researched, we had less than 50 barking dog complaints for the entire year, which isn't a huge number. You're talking at 2 or 3 a month. I mean, I've been answering barking dog complaints for 40 years. I mean, we ask them, hey, keep your dog quiet. 80% of the time we leave and it's over with. Usually when we arrive, we make the dogs bark. I mean, that's, There is occasions we have a continuous complaint. If we have to go back multiple times in the same night, then that's when we use a citation or go to the next step. I've never had a complaint with a service dog barking that night. We try to use discretion. I mean, I agree that we should respond at night, because somebody might be breaking in. I don't think it takes up a lot of our resources of time. But I think the time frame of 10 minutes, I mean, I don't know how we're going to time 10 minutes, but I guess that's something we'll rely on. If somebody has video from their phone, the dog's been barking for 10 minutes, then, we can handle that with a citation. But, I'd say we'll use a lot of discretion because the dog's barking. I mean, officers have discretion on a lot of laws. I mean, your insurance expires at midnight, but we don't write people tickets at 12:01 at midnight because it expired. We try to use common sense when we enforce these kind of things. But I don't think unless people just aren't calling the police. I've researched, I had headquarters, how many barking dog complaints we have in last year. And that's the number they give me. So it's not it is a problem sometimes, but we usually get through it with a simple knock on the door, waking them up. Hey, keep your dog quiet. And usually that takes care of it. And we do have, like I said, certain times, certain people, it doesn't work, and we handle it in different ways.
When it comes to discretion, do you think if you responded to a call or one of your officers responded to a call and they provided you evidence, but the dog wasn't barking at the time, but there was 15 minutes of evidence that they had on their phone and your officer was watching every minute of it?
We can't do anything. I mean, we could issue them a citation.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, in that discretion right there, and the dog, say you respond.
We have 1 year to do a citation.
Yeah.
I mean, we have discretion. Hey, if this continues, we're going to cite you.
Yeah.
If it continues, then we'll
I'm just
cite
curious because, it seems like we're basing it now on, if there was evidence, video evidence or audio evidence of a dog barking for 15 minutes, you respond, there was no dog barking at all, or the dog was inside in bed or something. Do you think discretion wise, I mean, do you think it's still a citation worth the event or, a response to that? I mean,
if it's a continuous problem at that residence or, we have multiple calls, yeah, we would issue them a citation just like, if I'm watching a video out here of one of the cameras and a crime occurs, the next day I go issue the person a citation. I don't have to do much of an investigation. It's not taking a lot of my time. I mean, we're not filling out lengthy reports and stuff. We're issuing a citation, making notes on the citation. If they want a court hearing, they come see the judge.
But to clarify, I mean, with that point about video, I mean, there's nothing that stops them now from doing the same thing, sharing the video.
No, the only thing putting the time limit is it gives it specific, because then it is up, if it's a citation or goes further, someone could say, well, in my opinion, an hour is not unreasonable, and then someone else, an hour is unreasonable. Then it becomes very discretionary. This is.
If somebody shows us a video of a dog barked 3 times and they call us and say, hey, the dog's barking at night, well, I mean, it's not really causing a disturbance. But if they got a video and it constantly sitting there barking and barking and barking, yeah, that's a little different. That's just something we will have to, address and cross when we get to it. But I didn't know this was such a big issue, right?
you and me both.
It's basically for nuisance dogs. This isn't just because a dog barked once. This is something that's an ongoing issue, and if you don't live next to that dog that barks continuously like that, then basically it's like, oh, but it's no problem. Yeah, it's not a problem because you don't have to hear that dog bark. But the thing to keep in mind, this isn't to punish anybody who has a service dog. And anybody who has a dog, if you have a pet, people should want to take care of their animals. And as Vice Mayor Riffle said, I would much rather if there is a call about a dog complaint like that, and it's a nighttime type of thing, I would much rather a police officer respond to that than if I had to go over and knock on somebody's door, especially if I have to go a second time. I'm not going to be a happy camper. So that's what our police are for, because basically that's how we keep those incidents down. So let's keep in mind, this is for nuisance situations. It's not that one time that the dog, is out there. And for people who really care about their pets, they're going to take care of their pets. When somebody comes and says, hey man, your dog's barking, we got a call, you know what? And as Chief said, basically normally it's a one-time thing and it's taken care of. So, let's keep that in mind. It's about a nuisance situation, not just that one time that the dog barked a few times, or, and then we started getting to the weeds when we start talking about, is the dog neglected? And, how are we going to know unless we actually are trained individuals, or we send our animal control officer off to like vet tech school or something like that? We really start getting into some weeds there. Is the dog barking all night or not? If the dog's barking and he's disrupting my peace and quiet, then you know what? I have the right as a citizen to call, and that's what all of our citizens should have the right to do.
Mr. Mayor, I call for the question.
Well,
Is there a second?
before we do that, Councilman Howell, I'm gonna withdraw my motion based upon the chief's testimony. Apparently, there's under 50 calls, that's 2 to 3 calls a month, so apparently there's not a whole lot of resources being expended on dog barking calls. I was,
Okay, so
go ahead, Paul, if you want.
we have a motion and a second on the consideration of the city ordinance codified which regarding prohibition of keeping a noisy dog. All in favor? All opposed?
No.
Councilmember Dean?
No.
Councilmember Howe?
Yes.
Councilmember Hyman?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
Yes.
Councilmember Worth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Riffle?
Yes.
Mayor Malvern?
Yes. And for anybody that's interested, they're having an anti-Trump rally on the courthouse plaza if anybody wants to go.
This was the dog.
No, it wasn't about the dog.
That's next week.
Consideration of second final reading and public hearing of an ordinance of the city of Clarksburg modifying sections 958.02 and 958.03 of the codified ordinances regarding solid waste containers. Notices appeared as previously stated.
We will now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. We'll close the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the city of Clarksburg modifying section 958.02 and 958.03, the codified ordinances regarding solid waste containers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Consideration of second and final reading and public hearing of an ordinance transferring 2 South Chestnut Street vacant lots to Clarksburg Land Reuse Agency, being parcel situated on tax map 20, parcel numbers 23 and 38. Notices appeared as previously stated.
We will now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. We will close the public hearing.
Mayor, I again make a motion to approve the transferring of 2 South Chestnut Street vacant lots to Clarksburg Land Reuse Agency, being parcels situated on tax map 20 and parcel numbers 23 and 38.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Discussion. And this is just for clarification. Can we have a report on the progress of the LRA and how many properties have moved in and out, and properties that have been sold, properties that are waiting to be sold?
Yes,
Anything?
I will get that to you. Most of them haven't gone through the whole process yet where we actually have the deed, because it takes 6 to 8, 9 months to get that from the state.
Okay.
But there's a few that have made it in the last probably 30 days, so I will get that up to council.
I know we've moved several properties into there. It's just,
Yeah.
it seemed to disappear into the Bermuda Triangle.
But those are properties we own. What you're speaking of, right? The ones
Some of them,
that-
yeah, some of
Yeah.
them.
Did we make that meeting, schedule that meeting? Or?
Yes, it's next Wednesday.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
New business, Consideration of first reading of an ordinance and order determining the necessity for continuance of levies for the fiscal years beginning July 1, 2026, July 1, 2027, July 1, 2028, July 1, 2029, and July 1, 2030 for improvements, maintenance, repairs, equipment, vehicles, and capital projects for the public parks, playgrounds, and facilities operated by the City of Clarksburg Board of Park Commissioners, for improvements, maintenance, paving, and repairs to streets, alleys, sidewalks, and bridges, and for purchase of various vehicles and equipment for the police and fire departments, and providing for submission to the voters within the City of Clarksburg, West Virginia, the question of continuance of the levy at the election to be held on the 12th day of May 2026, and providing for the holding and determination of such election.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve on the first reading the capital improvement levy as titled.
Second. Discussion. I have a question of why the word necessity is in there.
Can you please read that again, word for word, Mayor?
I mean, I don't understand why the word necessity is in there.
The title, right there, the title.
Yeah.
Well, I would say it is a necessity for continuance, right?
Yeah,
It's in this, okay, well, all right, I'm just,
I don't know how you're gonna pay for that, the stuff that doesn't pass.
right, okay, well, a couple of us had questions on that. Like the newspaper. I didn't want to put it on the finger.
But you did.
All right, we got a motion and a second, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Consideration of a fair housing resolution.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to support the fair housing resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
And as a side note to that, we received a pilot payment from the Clarksburg Harrison Regional Housing Authority for $74,777.25.
Just a quick question. I can't remember last year, but I know in previous years, for consecutive years, for many, many years, God bless them, Lou Argona, but I mean, they always came to the meeting and gave an update on.
I knew they put them in your,
It's in our mailbox, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, they gave a report. Yeah.
She's not Lou. God rest his soul. Yeah.
Thank you.
Consideration of a resolution to authorize continuance of the neighborhood sidewalk program and approve policies and procedures for the program.
I'll make the motion to authorize a continuance of the neighborhood sidewalk program, approve the policies and procedures, since it's near and dear to me.
I'll second.
Discussion. If this fund isn't used as it was last year, I think we really need to revisit it and come up with a better plan. Historically, it was used, Councilman Howe, you could probably speak this, I mean, all the money, right? I mean, it was always.
Way more than what we
Waiting
had.
with a waiting list.
Hundreds of thousands.
So, I know the raise of costs, and I want to thank Mr. Lane for, looking into this and raising the cost. Hopefully this solves that, because I think last year it used, not much at all, right, Tim?
Did or didn't?
Did not use it all.
And I don't think it's a couple years in a row, but, there's been issues with the programs. Hopefully this will fix it.
I had a question as well. What is currently, because I don't know if it ever changed, but what is the reimbursement amount currently? Is it?
Currently, it's $2,500. Me and the city clerk tried to find that resolution that was adopted back then and couldn't find it. The latest one we found had it at $1,700, but published online is $2,500 for a residential. I think it's $3,000 for a commercial.
And that, it's currently 70% of 2,500?
No, it's 70% to a maximum of $2,500.
Okay. Yeah, you were right.
So essentially, the only thing changed in the previous resolution is the amount was
I got you.
about $500 in each area.
Yeah.
We're hoping that we'll have more participation. Trevor, who's our new communications employee, will be putting it out on social media and on our website. And we also extended the application period where people can put their application in to participate in the program, because the weather here allows, to go further into fall to do sidewalks. So we're hoping that that will encourage people as well to participate. We'll try and see, and hopefully it does. If not, we may revisit it again next year.
So last year, we had 3 applications that came in, only 2 of them went through with the process, so we reimbursed 2 residents for with the grant money. The hope was to increase the amount of time to 2 months versus a 1-month application period, because last year after the deadline, I did have people contact code enforcement and myself, wanting to know if they could get in on it. And we also increased the completion date to the end of October, because during the month of October, you can still pour concrete.
I would concur with Vice Mayor, though. I think this is, the final shot at this program. I mean, I think it may have ran its course. Maybe that's why it's slowing down. But I mean, usually typically in 1 month, the city was sitting on over 100 applications that couldn't be
I
filed.
had Sheree pull the historical data for the past 5 years, and last year was just an off year. Years prior to that, all amount budgeted was used.
But what were the total dollar amounts the previous 5 years?
It was in the 30 to 40,000.
So even then, it's low. I mean, because there was 10 years straight that we were hitting 100, 120, 130, 40, $50,000 a year with only 35,000 budgeted. Thank you, Frank.
Mr. Howe, in the past few years, wasn't part of the project that it paid up to a certain percent for one property? If you had a neighbor that was willing to have theirs done as well, you got an additional amount on that percentage. And if you could get 3, then it was almost, I think, up to 90%. Are we still doing that, or has this all changed?
It's still.
It's
Still written the same?
Yeah,
Is that, okay, how are we putting that out there to let people know?
We're putting it out on social media and out on our website this year, and we have a bi-weekly piece in the paper, so.
Don't you put that in you put your ad in the paper?
Just maybe a recommendation. And part of the problem may be I don't know. I mean, maybe we need to look in who has business licenses, but maybe there are not as many small contractors that are focusing on this, because in the past we had a handful of small contractors that, I mean, they were ripping them up 30, 40 at a time, filling them in. So
Yeah, there's no money for, if you're a concrete contractor, doing one sidewalk isn't worth your time.
Not attractive.
You want the driveways, you want the patios, you want the more yards of concrete. Unless you had like Black Dog Construction that was doing sidewalk to sidewalk. I mean, they were moving sidewalk to sidewalk. I mean, that was what they focused on. And people don't trust contractors anymore. People are getting ripped off. They just don't do it anymore. So.
I have a great one in my house. I'll give you a recommendation.
I will not be doing anybody's sidewalks.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Consideration of the approval of the funding of an opioid grant request submitted by Together with Veterans Corporation in the amount of $33,020 for Safe Talk Assist T4T training per the committee's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good
No,
discussion.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Nothing?
No.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Consideration of the approval of funding of an opioid grant request submitted by Health Access, Inc. in the amount of $65,000 for comprehensive oral and dental health care and the supplies required for 35-plus patients in recovery per the committee's recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed,
Good. Oh, good.
motion carries.
Now, that I had a
Moving too
question.
fast.
For information purposes, this was the one that you discussed during budget time that
Yep.
Councilmember Hyman suggested. And the application was submitted twice. The first time it didn't meet the parameters. So we worked with Josh Brown to make sure he met the parameters of the policy, and that's why it came back to council.
Thank you for Mr. Brown for submitting that. Appreciate that.
Thank you guys.
Just a quick general question regarding the opioid funding on that. So how many applications have we received since we began?
I'd say 15 to 20.
So all the ones that are the committee denies,
Mhm.
do we,
We send out letters.
but we don't get a copy of those letters.
Council?
Yeah.
No, we just send them to and then we keep a Excel spreadsheet, and then I send it to council quarterly with the update.
Is there a way that we can, I would like to, I would personally like to see the applications, if they're not coming before us, I still think we should, I think we should have opportunity to look at them regardless, just from a personal take on it, just to see why we're being denied or what they aren't dotting their I's, crossing their T's, but, maybe just email them if that's okay.
Yeah, I can email them. We do also, like I mentioned, if they are denied, we tell them why they're denied and offer assistance, letting them know this is what you need to do to be eligible. And we do encourage them to reapply if they fit those criteria. Some people they just don't fit. Like we had a caller from Ohio try and apply for grant money, and we just said, like, you're out of state, it's just not gonna happen, unfortunately. But we do try to make sure that they fit the parameters in some fashion. But again, some just can't.
And so if they don't fit the parameters and they're local, do we say, here's how you fit
Yes.
the parameters?
Here's how you could, if it's possible. Again, even some, there's some local ones that just, like, we have for-profit housing, and we just said, like, unfortunately, unless you create an arm in your organization that's a nonprofit, then you could apply. But until you're a nonprofit, you can't.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
We already did.
You guys are confusing me tonight.
Consideration of the purchase of a 2024 Ford F600 regular cab XL diesel airlift bucket truck for the Public Works Department in the amount of $165,942.23 from Rush Truck Center and the financing thereof.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to authorize the purchase of the 2024 Ford F600 regular cab diesel aerial lift bucket truck in the amount of $165,942.23 from Rush Truck Center.
Second. I guess discussion. Just one question, the language that says "and the financing thereof,"
We're gonna put it up for financing.
I thought we had the money in the budget, that we're not.
We have a partial amount in the budget, but it was supposed to be financed even, it was reflected in the budget, or the intent was to finance it.
They have $52,000 and $52.40 in the budget
Okay.
per the memo.
The rest is, meant to be financed.
That's good, that's what I was doing.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Council comments?
Council comments. We call them Councilman Howe first.
Careful what you wish for.
Let's see, you want to move to adjourn?
Yep, don't call me.
Councilman Hyman.
Well, that was a productive meeting. I'm not gonna try to rehash the dog ordinance, but, I've been a no on several of these ordinances along the years. I'm not quite sure exactly what more we can do. I thought the ordinance on the books as it was presented, before we saw the amendments, I thought, I didn't really feel like it was a need to revisit it. And you'll see me voting no on stuff like that, as you have in the past, whether it's trash cans or pigeons or even, I don't know, I think we just need to, we need to realize that, the city of Clarksburg is not country club. It's not, it's not an HOA. Although, as I mentioned to the city manager and city attorney, it is kind of the biggest HOA in Harrison County. The difference is that we enforce it with attorneys and police officers and judges. And, I think we need to remember that every time we sit here and conjure up new ordinances or amend old ordinances. Other than that, we got First Friday tomorrow. Should be a good time, ghost tours. And I was asked by Ms. Gonzalez in Northview to promote the St. James Parish Spaghetti Dinner in Northview from 12 to 4. You can get your tickets at the door, or you can get them ahead of time by contacting 623-4085. So other than that, have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Deans.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Vice Mayor Riffle, thank you for taking it upon yourself to help the Clarksburg History Museum fundraise. It's really frustrating to see something that has been such a good development for our city kind of get in the caught in the crosshairs. A lot of good people doing work that has to stop for no reason now. So that's frustrating. Like I said, with the dog ordinance, I was a yes the first time. After talking to Councilman Hyman and other people, it's already on the books. I don't think the revisions made any significant difference. So that's why I voted no. First Friday and best spaghetti dinner in town, St. James on Sunday.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Appendix?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I first want to commend Vice Mayor Riffle. I mean, when I saw today that I got a Facebook message that the History Museum was going to lose their AmeriCorps funding, that kind of struck a chord with me. But it was nice and refreshing to see Vice Mayor Riffle up there, taking the initiative, not as a vice mayor, but as a citizen to try to revive that. Because a lot of times when you lose funding of that magnitude, it's like a punch in the gut, and you kind of ask yourself, what the hell can I do? And it's just, you just don't know what to do. But it's really good to see that Vice Mayor Riffle did take the initiative on that. And I'll be buying a flag. So one, because I don't have one, so I need one. But anyhow, thank you, Vice Mayor. And the other thing was, dog barking ordinance. I came in here tonight and I was going to vote no for that. But I was kind of torn. It was kind of like 50-50 with me, or 55-45 with me. And I'm glad to see that we did get that part of that amended to where the first, the first offense was a warning, because I truly believe that, it's just not about the barking dog and someone's peace being disturbed. That is important. Don't get me wrong. I mean, no one wants to hear a dog bark all night, but it's an animal too, and I care about, a lot of these dogs, because there's a lot of folks that just, they run puppy mills and stuff, and they just get dogs because they think it's cute and cuddly, and then when it's no longer a puppy, and they stick it out in the yard and they neglect it, So if this is an opportunity if a barking dog was an opportunity for either law enforcement or code enforcement to go out there to see if that dog is okay, then that's all right with me. That's fine with me. And you know what? In that Second Amendment I try to get up, I should have asked Chief Kitty to go up there and speak first, because I would have saved everybody 20 minutes. We've been out of here. So I want to apologize to the council about that, Chief Kitty about that, and everybody here in the gallery. So sorry to monopolize your time on that. But yeah, at the end of the day, I was really torn on that. But for me, the reason why I voted on that was really for really to make sure that the animals are okay. Because I think that's very important, being a dog owner and stuff. I mean, I really care about my animals. They're like kids. So, other than that, I mean, I think it's great, the health access. We got you, Josh got you $65,000 from the opioid funds. And, that's really important. When you have folks in recovery that, that they're in recovery, maybe they need dental care. And when you're in recovery, you want to look presentable, so you could get a job, you could be self-sustaining, you could get your life back. And I hate to say it, but sometimes when you're applying for jobs, appearances, are, perception's reality. And, and I hate that, but, I mean, this is a great step forward, to help folks, further their recovery into something to where they're even economically going to be recovering. And I think that's very important because I don't know if you ever had to pay for like an implant or anything like that. I mean, it's just $1,000 for a tooth. So, I mean, that's, so I'm glad we were able to help access with that. It is good that we're going to get Public Works, definitely the tools that they need in this aerial lift bucket truck. I mean, you see them out there working every day with equipment sometimes that, is dated back to probably the late 90s, and I love the steps that we're taking forward to make sure that Public Works is getting the equipment and stuff that they need, to help us in the city. So other than that, I'm on the mend. I guess I had an appendectomy probably 2.5 weeks ago, which means I had my appendix taken out and I had no symptoms or pain. Went in there for a routine, my urologist sent me to get a better look at a kidney stone through a CT scan, and I get a call at 3 a.m. from UHC saying you have acute appendicitis, you need to get here right now. So it's life-threatening. So, and I appreciate everybody's prayers and stuff. It's, I'm just glad that I'm walking after 4 days in the hospital, first 4 days, and I've been out, probably about another week and a half. So, but it's kind of, it's going to take me about a month to fully recover from that. So, but thank you for everybody's prayers and thank you for your time. And I apologize again for that second amendment that I put up there. So,
Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
I would like to say, thank you to all my colleagues up here. The dog ordinance, to some people it may seem petty, but, I just want the people, our citizens, to understand that we hear you, we see you, and we're going to work on these issues. And I appreciate the respect that we have amongst each other to be able to debate these issues back and forth and come to a decision. And outside of that, I would also like to say thank you to all of the citizens of Clarksburg for your patience as we deal with this street and road thing getting taken care of, as well as our business owners. I understand that right now, things are a bit of a mess. You know what? This is what it's going to take to get our city back to what it should be. Not what it used to be, but what it should be. So thank you very much for your patience and your respect in dealing with the people who are out here working in our streets. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. I'm afraid to call Councilman Howe.
You better go first.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, the dog barking ordinance it was a tough decision. And when Ms. Cork showed up, I kind of put my head down. It's like, I know the women in Northview come here and they may be against what I get nervous. Just the women from Northview. I don't care if my mom or dad, somebody else came in was against something. The women in Northview, they make me nervous. So I don't want to be against what they want to do. So I hope, thank you for the letter though. I didn't get it until just yesterday. Barracuda got it. Everybody else at Barracuda got it.
Yeah.
So I didn't get it until yesterday. Yeah, yes, it was, yeah. So it's a tough decision. Hopefully it fixes some issues. And, it's a tough decision. But moving on from that, the History Museum, it's very important. It's important to me because I love history. It's important to our city because our history is so rich. We will also be doing a Clarksburg Trivia Night. I think we'll be doing it at Kelly's in maybe 2 weeks. I got to talk to Mr. Policano about that. Mr. Stogiak put together a bunch of questions. This is about 2 years ago because I had his idea. And he gave me the question 2 years ago. So it's a fun way to do a trivia night, test your Clarksburg knowledge. As long as Mike Spataford doesn't show up because he will probably win. But yeah, just be a fun way to do trivia night. Trivia nights are good at other restaurants, but I think we have one here and have a good event and raise some more money. But I'll announce that when we figure out a date. And yeah, First Friday's tomorrow. The Ghost Tour, but it's a hit. It sold out last time. So it'll be a good event again. So everybody come out first Fridays, and that's all I have.
Thank you. See something, say something. Don't call the police, we can't do anything. I'd like to acknowledge that we've got the House of Delegates member, Mr. Tito, here this evening. Thank you for coming, Mickey. Thank you, Police Department, Fire Department, Mr. Howe.
So I would like to start, I guess, is a congratulations order, I guess, for Officer Weber. I guess he's had 25 years of service. I guess there was a celebration today that we were made aware of. I would have loved to come to say congratulations. But I just want to make sure that if we're going to do it for him, that we're also doing it for the other employees. I believe there's several officers, Lieutenant Messenger Cox, I believe, have 25 years in. So I think they will need acknowledged. And Chief Green, I think you might have 25 years as well. And so, minimum, right? Yeah. But I think there's 6 firefighters and there's 3 coming up in August that have 25 years. I just want to make sure that, they are being treated the same and being acknowledged as well, if that's going to be the protocol moving forward. And then I think Public Works has 3 individuals as well that I think have around that 25 years as well. But also I'd like to congratulate Tom Purnell and Josh Oldacre for being promoted as foreman for the Public Works Department. I think it's a wise decision. Been here many years. I think their opinions should be valued. Their knowledge should be valued. I think that's a good promotion from within. I think they'll do a fine job. Then also, I would like to ask that on the next agenda, that we have a resolution to name the alley between North Florence and Pinnakinnick Street, to name that as Cooper Way. Currently, it's an unnamed alley.
Where was that, sorry?
It's over.
South Florida.
Tell me how you spell that.
Well, we have a mind that works.
Can't be a bear if you can't
Hey,
spell
put
it.
that in the trivia. How do you spell it?
And then lastly, I think, in addition to Delegate Petito being here, we appreciate that, and be remiss if I didn't mention the First Lady, Brenda Malfadjo, for being here. So thank you for attending as well. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Oh, I second it.
We're adjourned.